Warm, responsive and trusting relationships between children and educators provide a secure base from which children can explore and learn about themselves and their world. Through significant relationships like these, children are supported to develop their social and emotional capabilities.
For a child to feel good and safe and secure now is absolutely vital for them to be ready for learning and to be available for all types of development, so for cognitive development, their language development, their peer relationships. So we do talk a lot about how it's the foundation of all future development, but in order for them to have a good experience here and now, it's important as well.
One of the things that's important for early childhood educators to think about as they embrace the ideas around children's mental health is to think about children's identity and well-being and their sense of security and connectedness in the here and now. So, and of course that would look different for a very young child, an infant who's coming into a service, as children progress through their toddlerhood into their early childhood as 3 and 4-year-olds, and then transitioning through into school. It's both about being in the here and now with children, understanding where they're up to, what they feel, what they experience, what they understand about who they are in connection with others. So that sets, if you like, a foundation for the way that they operate into the rest of their lives. What we know about young children and the way that they learn and grow is that we can set some very strong foundations for how they interact with each other and how they understand themselves in relation to others, that sets the trajectory for future development.
He's trying to fall down.
When children are feeling safe and secure in the world and in their relationships with others, we can see that they're generally happy to go off and explore, and that can be in whatever age appropriate way that they do. So for a very small baby it might be to look at a dangling toy for a while, you know, for a 4-year-old it might be climb on the climbing gym and hang upside down for a while. At some point the child will usually come back for a check-in, make sure you're still there.
Warm, responsive and trusting relationships between children and educators help children feel safe and secure, provide comfort and support to minimise feelings of stress children may have as they learn to negotiate their world. Educators use these relationships to provide children with first-hand experiences of social and emotional skills when they model them. Through their relationships, they help children stay connected with their families whilst at the service.
Each child needs very different things. We know that each child is an individual and every relationship we have with every child is very different. So availability and accessibility to strong, safe adults in a child's life, they will use those relationships as they need to.
Educators play an extremely important role in supporting children's social and emotional development. All day, every day is an opportunity to feed into positive social and emotional skills and promoting their mental health of the children that they're working with. If we think about the components of social and emotional development, so regulation of emotion as the first one, is being open to a child's experience and expression of a variety of emotions. So allowing a child to feel whatever they're feeling and being there with them when they're feeling those emotions and helping them with an emotional language to talk about those emotions and giving them a sense that someone is with me while I'm having this difficult experience, if it's a difficult experience. If the feeling is too much, then language is going to go right out the window. So it's really about helping the child in a higher state of arousal to kind of modulate their emotion and experience by sensory means. So that's actually staying close, thinking about what the child needs in terms of touch or movement until they calm down to a state in which they might be receptive to an adult talking with them about how they think they're feeling and what they can do about it if they need to do anything about it.
Educators are really well placed to help babies and small children develop their social and emotional skills, helping them think about what's happening, helping them with their interactions, helping them with giving them skills and strategies to stop behaviour, to start behaviour. I want to play with so-and-so, well how might you go about that? So helping them think things like that through. And they can help babies with their social skills as well by placing them in group settings with other babies, because babies are very social creatures and they will interact with one another. So giving them the opportunity to do that and supporting them in that. So watching when they're in the group and they're interacting, so you might have a couple of babies on the floor looking at each other, and an educator will be there to what we call scaffold that, so to just make sure it's safe, to maybe have a bit of a running commentary about what's happening, so that the children know that they're thought about and the babies can know that there is someone present, and also the educator can be there to regulate the interaction, so to perhaps stop it when one baby or another baby is getting sick of it and to make comment on that. And they can do that with older children as well. And so paying reasonably close attention to the babies and the small children and how each one is managing the interaction and the stimulation, the emotional stimulation that happens in relationships, and noticing when perhaps things are getting a little bit too much, and then intervening to either change the activity or separate them and do something else, or down-regulate instead of up-regulating.
Watching and enabling children to interact with each other and, you know, find a place in their space, and that again for me is about systems. So the way that I look at it sometimes is like lily pads colliding on a pond, you know, and these children are sitting on it, they can't wait to get to the next one and jump on it and have a look at what's going on over there, and sometimes they bump into each other, and sometimes they just run smoothly, and they're like, you know, gliding plates. And I watch children in early childhood settings doing that exploring and gliding round, and what enables that is lots of interesting experiences that have been built on things that they show you. And children being able to share and invite and demonstrate empathy. And those children are able to learn from each other and learn with each other and experience significant secondary attachments with other children. The relationships they have with the adults are like the tools, and then they just go out and do all this wonderful stuff. And the relationships they have with each other is where I believe the flourishing and the learning occurs.
Once that relationship is there, I think a lot of people would say that it becomes the very fundamental and basic foundation for that child's learning, for that child forming other relationships. It becomes a kind of cornerstone for that child. It gives the child security to go out and explore, to interact with other children, to take reasonable risks, to meet challenges. So once the relationship is there, I see it operating in a sense in two ways, and one of the ways is that it is through that relationship that the educator is best able to support the child's learning, and in a direct way through what the educator says to the child, the conversations they have, the interactions they have, the learning opportunities the educator sets up for that child, just the fun they have together. So there's a very direct impact that the relationship has on the child's learning. But there's also a link between the relationship and the child's learning, in that when an educator knows the child really well, and when the child feels secure in that relationship, the child is able to take advantage of all of the opportunities within that setting. So I would say that the relationship between the educator and the child is the very foundation of a child being able to experience the curriculum, being able to experience everything that's there in an early childhood education and care setting.